Let's talk more about what this could mean for the internet sector with Mark Mahaney. He is Evercore ISI's head of internet research. Mark, it's good to see you. These gains, they're ho-hum. Should they be larger?
There should be gains. How large they are is hard to tell. You also had a bump up last week in Snap stock by about 15% on this news. I think the assets that would most benefit from a TikTok ban would be YouTube Shorts and Instagram. Actually, I think Snap may. I know there's a huge amount of demographic overlap between Snap and TikTok, but the use cases are different. Snap is primarily a communications tool, whereas TikTok is much more of an entertainment tool. That's why it's much more akin to Instagram and YouTube Shorts. But it's probably good for these stocks. It's an unfortunate development, but it's good for these stocks.
You know, there's been a lot made of the fact that TikTok today is not what it was even a year ago. Can you give us some numbers around engagement and use of the platform? How much is it down? And is that organic just because people kind of had their fun with it and perhaps are moving on? And if that's the case, are they moving on to YouTube, Reels, and the others?
I don't think there's clear evidence that people have moved away from TikTok. It's just that the growth, which was hyperbolic, is just sort of plateaued in terms of the number of users and the amount of time that people spent with TikTok. But this is, you go back a couple of years, about 3 years, and you saw that people were spending about the same amount of time on TikTok as on Facebook, roughly 40 minutes per user per day. And then all of a sudden, it just gapped up with TikTok, and it went to about 80, 90 minutes of usage per day. And then it started plateauing, and Facebook continued to rise, but not at that level. So it's really kind of, you had this huge spike, and it's plateaued off that spike. And then in the meantime, I think TikTok introduced to the world the concept of short form video, which is highly popular, highly entertaining, and somewhat addictive. And I think what Meta did with Reels is kind of capture that. Snap did the same thing with Spotlight. YouTube did the same thing with YouTube Shorts. And it's actually worked really well for all three platforms. It's boosted engagement across all three platforms. People like short form video.
Yeah. So even as they're fighting and perhaps winning this round, if they do come down with this ban, Mark, much has been made of the fact that a lot of the top app downloads are other Chinese apps, like ones I'm less familiar with, Temu. You can maybe take us through the list. What do we do about other popular Chinese apps? And do we need to have more disclosure in the App Store, even of maybe where the country of origin is, to make it clear to people? Do they raise similar security risks? And is this going to be just a TikTok situation, or should we expect more to come?
Well, this has been a sui generis case. I mean, this is the first time we've seen a media asset that's potentially banned. I think that's right. Now, other assets have been banned that come out of China, telecommunications equipment, et cetera. But this is the first time we've seen a media asset. Just for the record, going the other way, U.S. media companies have had very little exposure within China. They've largely been banned. You can recall the major controversy that came when Google was essentially kicked out of China. Oh, I don't know, 15 years ago now. Sure. So it's this is an interesting reversal. And I don't know about other assets. I mean, TikTok has been extraordinarily popular. It's rare to see an asset like this, come off really kind of sort of out of nowhere and reach that 1 to 2 billion user level. There are not too many assets like that. They've been banned in other countries like India. I think you're going to see similar actions in the EU. And
as we're speaking, the UK is banning TikTok from government phones.
Yeah, but from these other companies' perspective, what they've had to do is, TikTok, to their credit, came up with really innovative change. I mean, an offering that people really liked, and it caught these companies like Facebook. Right. Like Google, like Snap, unawares, but they have they've pivoted, they've come back, and it's been good for their business models.